Welcome back to the Blessings Podcast, my friends. And I'm so glad that you're here because today we're going to talk about something that is really important and near and dear to my heart because it's hurt me. And I'm ashamed to say I used to do it myself. And it's something that happens all the time that we've kind of glorified. And I'm talking about gossip. And also, conversely, I want to talk about the power of kind words. So, on the Blessings Podcast, we talk about the blessings and the lessons of life. And we learn, oh, do we learn? That's why we're here. So, today we're going to talk about gossip in a way that blends psychology, spirituality, vibration, consciousness, and the deeper human truth beneath it all, because the harm of gossip has been trivialized in our culture, especially with popular phrases like spilling tea that make it sound so cute. And the young girls are getting together and they're doing it and sounds playful and fun, but it's not. When you strip away the aesthetics and the pop culture gloss, what's beneath is something that erodes consciousness, damages relationships, and lowers the vibration of everyone involved, mostly the gossiper, you, whoever is doing it. Here's the real truth. Gossip is a form of emotional pollution. When you speak negatively about someone who is not present, you're releasing emotional toxins into the air, into the ether, into the space. Psychologically, this activates judgment, superiority, and tribalism. Spiritually, it lowers your vibration because it reinforces fear, scarcity, separation. It deposits an invisible residue, a toxin, into your mind, teaching your nervous system that the world is unsafe, that people can't be trusted, and that negativity is entertainment. And that makes you feel worse about you. Think about it. If you have ever talked about somebody else behind their back, it does not feel good. Ultimately, you may be laughing, you may even be drinking or, having a girls' night kind of thing, and it might feel fun. But I mean, I don't know about you, but anytime I've participated in a session like that, I feel terrible. Gossip, as a matter of fact, hurts the speaker more than the target. This sounds counterintuitive, but countless traditions, from Buddhism to Kabbalah to modern psychology, all agree. The one who speaks the harmful words pays the highest energetic price. Why? Because your words are an extension of your consciousness. They are your heart coming out of your body. When you speak cruelty, you practice cruelty. You're being cruel. You reinforce it in your own body. You hardwire it into your identity. Your subconscious doesn't distinguish between you describing them and you being them. Every tea spill becomes a self-inflicted micro wound. I will never forget this story. It was one of the last times that I spent a day with a person who is no longer my friend because we didn't align anymore. And one of the reasons why is because she's a huge gossip and she doesn't even think that she is. Let me explain. We're in the car and she starts to tell me a story about another person that we know. She's telling me about this person's personal dating life, some things that I did not know, but we both know the other person. So it felt like, okay, well, we're all friends, so I can tell you this, even though the person we were talking about had not told me herself. And that's how you know it's wrong, right? If the person does not tell you themselves, it has to come from a third party. It's not genuine. That's not in the right spirit of sharing. And I stopped her and I said, I don't really feel comfortable gossiping about so-and-so. And she said, oh, I'm not gossiping. I'm just telling you what happened. And I'll never forget it. The look on her face was like almost as if I was accusing her of doing something. She couldn't believe I was talking to her in this way. And I was like, I can't believe you don't understand what gossip is, because I know she talks about me that way to other people. And I don't give her the opportunity to do that anymore because we're not friends. And you might be asking yourself, what if it's true what the person is saying? What if it's true what the gossiper is talking about? What if it's really something that actually happened, that it is true? This, according to spiritual principles, is even worse because it's not your story to tell. Gossip lowers your energetic frequency. It puts you beneath. If you believe in vibration, and vibration is all around us, Wi-Fi is all around us. Everything is vibrating. We don't see it, but it is. If you put the leaf of a plant under a microscope, you would see it's vibrating. Everything is vibrating. So you know this. Words are frequency. As I'm speaking into this microphone right now and I'm wearing headphones, I can feel the reverberation. My words are frequency. Frequency is consciousness, and consciousness is creation. Gossip has the vibration of pettiness, envy, insecurity, judgment, low self-worth, fear of irrelevance, and the need for power over others. It's almost like the bully who has to put themselves over someone else in order to feel good. These frequencies cannot coexist with the frequencies that you want to fall in love with your life, to make your life better, to receive the best from life. Frequencies we want, like abundance, high self-esteem, love, generosity, clarity, inspired action, creativity, gratitude. The frequencies are not present during a gossip session. When you gossip, you're literally dialing down your own manifestation power. It's like unplugging yourself from the universe's highest voltage source. But we have normalized this and made it sound cute by calling it spilling tea. I hate this phrase because it disguises cruelty as entertainment. This phrase sounds lighthearted, but the vibration underneath is not. It's serious because it normalizes character assassination. It normalizes the violation of privacy. Do you think our other friend would have wanted that girl to tell me those things? If she wanted me to know, she would have told me herself. Spilling tea, I'm putting that in my air quotes, normalizes all this. And it's like delighting in someone else's downfall. It's voyeurism and it's humiliation as humor. It teaches the psyche that the pain, missteps, or vulnerabilities of another person are entertainment for us and that's somehow appropriate. That's not funny. It's not harmless. And it's not spiritually aligned. It's a distortion of empathy. Even if you're saying, oh, I feel so bad for so-and-so, or can you believe this happened to her? In the spirit of this fake empathy, doesn't work because gossip creates karmic entanglements. Energetically, when you degrade someone, you bind yourself to the lower version of them that you've created through your words. Every spiritual tradition says the same thing. What you say binds you to the vibration you speak into existence. You're not just talking about them, you're creating the version of yourself that believes those kinds of thoughts. And it becomes a karmic loop. You judge, you lower your vibration, you attract more to judge, you lower your vibration again. And it's a cycle. It's a loop that becomes your reality because now your system in your brain, your RAS, your reticular activating system is looking for more things to judge, more things to gossip about. And it becomes your place where you exist. And that's not a good place to be. Gossip erodes trust, even in rooms where the target isn't present. So you might not know that someone is gossiping about you. I can sense it. I have what I call clairsentience, and I can feel. You can feel when this is going on. People have intuition about gossipers. If someone is willing to spill the tea about others, everyone subconsciously knows that they will spill tea about me. It creates unspoken fear, mistrust, lack of faith. It destroys psychological safety. Psychological safety is really important in relationships. It poisons groups and relationships from the inside out. In this way, gossip isolates the gossiper most of all. And then you'll find that gossipers tend to congregate in groups, and eventually authentic people kind of fall away out of those groups and they sort themselves out in the long run. It's really a painful place to be when you realize that you're caught up in this dynamic. Gossip is a misuse of the sacred creative power of speech. You've heard about the idea of speech, words, letters being put together as spelling, spells. But in many mystical traditions, the tongue is considered a creative instrument, an instrument for creation, because your words have the power to manifest. Our words are meant for blessings, for guidance and advice, for healing, for truth, for revelation, for connection with others. We connect through our words, through our speech, through calling things into being. When you use words to harm, to demean, to diminish, to judge, you misuse the divine technology of language. You effectively become a channel for lower consciousness. Gossip fractures your soul's integrity. And every time you say something in the dark that you would not say in the light, if you wouldn't say it to someone's face, you fracture your own self-respect. You actually erode trust with yourself because your higher self, your inner voice knows that you are the kind of person who can't be trusted. Even if you think it's harmless, your soul knows. Gossip creates internal shame. It creates misalignment within the self. It creates self-disgust. You can be mad at yourself after you do this. You can realize it's wrong, and then you feel bad. You're feeling bad about yourself. This lowers your confidence. It's a sense of moral instability. Your subconscious whispers to you, if you talk about other people like this, can you really trust yourself? And that cumulative internal shame becomes a weight on your spirit. Spilling tea is not celebrated by high consciousness people because it's not entertainment. It's energetic harm dressed up as a joke because it conditions people to value secrets over integrity, judgment over true understanding, humiliation and belittling over compassion, headiness over presence, because it makes people feel powerful in the moment and spiritually depleted afterwards, because gossip cheapens the soul. And because your vibration is too valuable, too sacred, too creative, too potent to waste on words that diminish rather than uplift and empower. So let's choose a higher consciousness alternative. Let's choose illumination over shade. Let's choose wisdom over spectacle. Let's choose empathy over entertainment. Let's choose curiosity over judgment. Let's choose presence over pettiness. Let's speak in ways that raise the room, even when the person being spoken about isn't there. This is true spiritual maturity. It's real power, and it's what aligns you with abundance, dignity, and higher vibration. And you can assert this. If you're in a situation where people are gossiping, you can change the narrative. And that makes you the highest vibration being in the space. And that in turn lifts others up as well, because they will see, they will hear, and they will feel the vibration raising because you're taking control of that. Gossip is harmful even when it's true. And I want to talk about this a little bit because I know that question is in your mind. Well, what if I'm just talking about something that's true? What if I'm talking about something because we're trying to, quote, help someone? And I'm saying that there aren't situations where you might want to come up with some solutions in the true spirit of wanting to help someone. This is definitely something that can happen, but there's really a fine line because gossip is not defined by truth or falsehood. It's defined by intent and impact. So if the purpose of the speech is to embarrass, to diminish, to discuss or analyze, to expose, to judge, to elevate ourselves by lowering someone else, to create a spectacle out of someone's pain or humanity, it's still gossip. Truth does not sanctify cruelty. In fact, truth weaponized becomes the sharpest cruelty of all. Sharing someone else's truth without consent is a breach of spiritual and psychological boundaries. Even when it's factual, it is still someone else's story, someone else's karma, someone else's healing timeline, someone else's journey. To speak their story without permission is to take something sacred and turn it into entertainment or ego fuel, which is really what it is. It's coming from the gossiper's ego. It violates their privacy, their dignity, their autonomy, their control, and their energetic boundaries. It's really spiritual trespassing. It's not for us to judge. It's not for us to change and take control of their journey, their lessons. Others have their lessons to learn. Truth spoken with judgment lowers your vibration because words carry frequency, tone carries frequency, intent carries frequency. It transmits a low vibration regardless of the factual accuracy. You're not punished for the truth you speak. You're affected by the vibration from which you speak it. And your nervous system records the tone, not the truth. Psychologically, your subconscious doesn't care whether the gossip is accurate. It only registers, am I speaking harmfully? Are we judging others? Are we safe from being judged? When you criticize someone truthfully or not, your subconscious believes that you are unsafe because you are participating in a social environment where harm is normal. It creates anxiety, mistrust, insecurity, hypervigilance. Actually participating in a gossip session can put you into fight or flight mode yourself because of all the psychological damage that it causes. And then you train yourself to expect judgment everywhere from other people because you know it happens because you're doing it yourself. Speaking negative truth locks you into the lowest version of that person. So this is also a really important one. You become energetically bound to the version of that person that you're creating when you speak about them. If you're talking about their mistakes, their failings, a bad moment that they had, or something difficult that happened in their lives, their story, you're energetically anchoring yourself and them to that moment. You're reinforcing the worst version of them, the worst lens of you and them, and the worst vibration of the situation in its entirety. And this blocks your growth and it blocks their growth. Spiritually, it ties you into the karmic timeline of their lowest self instead of your higher self. Truth can harm when it's shared from the wrong consciousness. Two people can say the same truth with entirely different outcomes. One person can say it as compassion, which can turn into healing, and one person can say it as gossip, which can turn into wounding. Truth without love becomes a weapon. Truth without wisdom becomes noise. Truth without consent becomes a violation. And gossip, even when it's true, creates karmic residue because evil speech doesn't mean lying. It means speaking true negative things unnecessarily. The karmic harm is in widening someone else's wound, reinforcing negativity in a collective situation, misusing the power of speech, and lowering your own spiritual integrity. You become what you say. Every time you speak negatively, even accurately, your subconscious practices negativity. If you rehearse pettiness, you strengthen judgment. You deepen insecurity, and you align with a low vibration. Most of the time, the truth is incomplete anyway. When we gossip even about true events, we're usually sharing a tiny slice of someone else's complex reality. We don't know the trauma behind the behavior. We don't know the wound underneath the action. We don't know the pressures they're facing. We don't know what they're trying to heal. We can't judge what healing needs to take place. We don't know what they're quietly carrying. We don't know what we would have done in the same situation because we don't have the full context. We are looking at a distortion, and this distorted truth is still harmful. So the deepest spiritual path to take here is to realize that if the truth does not uplift, heal, protect, clarify, or help someone to evolve, it is better left unspoken. If it does not serve the higher consciousness, then it drains it. And if it does not expand love, it contracts the soul. So before speaking a truth about someone, you could ask, is it mine to share? Does it serve love or does it serve my ego? Does this elevate or diminish the collective consciousness? And will my higher self be proud of how I am using my own voice? If not, then silence is the best path, because that's where your spiritual maturity flourishes, in silence. There is some key research to using kind words and a tone with your speech that amplifies positivity and love. And I'm going to share about this research in my newsletter, which comes out today, the same day as this episode. So if you're not on the list, make sure that you get on my newsletter list at mitzicampbell.com/newsletter, because there is lots of research and information out there that shows that positive speech is connected to brain health, emotional regulation, human flourishing, and even gene expression, which is super interesting. So I believe in habit stacking with positivity and positive words. And that's why I am so passionate about my daily morning text messaging service, Your Positive Moment. You can sign up to receive my messages daily at yourpositivemoment.com. And when you are working with other people in any facet of your life, in business, professionally, if you are in any capacity where you're talking to other people, which most of us are, even in casual conversations, please remember how powerful words are, how we can actually change our brain patterns, change our emotional states, and affect the brain patterns and emotional states of others through our speech. It's all about feeling good. It's all about creating lives where love and all those positive emotions at the top of the emotional scale exist and expand. And that's what I'm all about here at the Blessings Podcast and in all of my work is about expanding knowledge, self-knowledge, knowledge about the world that allows us to be in love with life, because we are here in this school of life to learn so that we can experience bliss and joy and happiness and fulfillment and contentment. And all of that comes when we know more and learn more about ourselves and about others. So anyway, thank you for joining me for this episode of the Blessings Podcast. I'm so glad that you are here. If you know someone who you think can benefit from, maybe you know someone who needs to work on their speech. Maybe you know someone who spills a little too much tea. Maybe this would be a good episode to share with them. I love you. Have an amazing week.